Hello, everyone. Welcome to Discount Bin, a pack of pals reading, digesting, and arguing over fantasy novels in a weekly podcast format. This week, we're changing it up a little bit. We're reading The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, which is a short story. You can read it in about 10-15 minutes, and we all just read it this week, and now we're just going to see what everyone thought about it.
Okay, so The Lottery is a short story, and it takes place in a small village in some New England area. And everyone in the town appears to be gathering for some sort of ceremony. We got kids that are excitedly making piles of rocks. We got moms gossiping, and we have this old mayor guy coming through with this big box. And then the rest of the town comes, and at first everything feels like festive. Things slowly start to take a darker turn. The lottery is completed, and the story ends with the stoning of a member of the village.
The lottery winner.
The winner, yeah. I think even though the prize isn't desirable, it's still technically a win.
Leonard, what did you think of it?
I thought it was pretty dark towards the end there. I'm honestly not sure what the message is trying to convey is. Like there's a little bit of like mob mentality in there, with just the way it happened. No one questioning the system. No one dares to because they feel like they might be the next target or something. I don't really know how I feel about it. I don't see any like really deep messages beyond that. I hope to hear a different opinion.
Oh, you will.
So for me, I think, just thinking about it now actually, but I think the message is probably just progress, right? Because they talk about how, some of the young people aren't doing it anymore and in other towns, and the old guy is out there being like, oh, back in my day, we weren't such pansies and we just threw rocks like a motherfucker, or whatever. So I'm thinking that's mostly the message. So I hadn't read this story before, but like about halfway through, I was like, it felt like they were going to kill someone just from other stories I've read, or like it's not, that unrealistic. And it kind of, people used to do a lot of dumb stuff, on myths and legends, and these people don't even seem to really know why they're doing it. They think they do it and they get better crops or whatever. So, it's no different than like sacrificing someone to the gods or what have you.
Yeah.
So this story was first published in 1948, so right after the end of World War II. And it was originally printed in the New Yorker. And when it was first published, a lot of people wrote in. Like, it was the story, the article that they published that received the most letters ever. And a lot of people do attribute that to, like, at the time, they weren't differentiating between fact or fiction when they were printing. But still, a good portion of them were just like so shocked by like this idea that this idea of like tradition is so harmful, and it's just appalling to think that.
So I enjoy this story because this actually pops up in a lot of other stories, right? Like you look at things like, what is it? Logan's Run, Soylent Green. Gurren Lagann actually has an entire episode that's kind of in the same thing. What I like about this particular story is it doesn't actually give you, it leaves a lot to interpretation. Like, okay, so we assume it's a tradition, and we know it is a tradition, but we don't know why the tradition was started, right? So is this could be to some pagan god, but it could easily be resources are so limited, we can only have so many people in this village, so we need to find a way to limit our resources as new people are born and brought in. And so there's a lottery to get rid of the excess every year to make sure we can maintain our own sustenance and survival. And as generations forget about that, perhaps, they start not doing it, and then they start running into famine and other kind of like overpopulation problems based on the amount of resources they can actually gather. And that's what I kind of like about it is like it's dark, but there might be something more to it that we just don't know. And you can kind of think about it.
Yeah.
Did they bring all those
it is-
points up though?
What?
Did they actually bring all those specifics up? Like why
No,
they're
that
doing it?
absolutely
They
no.
just
They-
yeah,
well,
It's implied that it's to help the crops grow.
right.
so this is a combination of character knowledge and player knowledge kind of thing too. Like we're seeing this from the perspective of one of the village people, not the band, but like the people in the village. That's why I'm saying I feel like it's left up to interpretation. They could tell you, sure, this is to the god, but if the overall purpose in the background was we need to maintain this, they wouldn't just know that. Otherwise, they're in these stories. Generally, the people are too stupid to accept the fact that there is a cap on our population, kind of thing.
No.
Not saying that people are stupid, but just in that sense.
People are stupid.
But no, they didn't explicitly say that. They did infer tradition in mild religious
Yeah.
context.
So, what did you guys think about like the focus on tradition, like that they still have this ritual, but they don't have any of the original stuff, and they're not sure why they do it the way that they do it. They don't sing the song anymore, and they've like changed so many aspects of it. Like, is that still tradition?
Did you guys all watch Lost?
Yeah.
Remember the button pushing incident? Like nobody knows why you have to push the button, but everyone's compelled to push the button because they were told it's important to push the button. You know, isn't it just that dilemma where if you, what's the worst that could happen if you don't do it? But nobody really knows. But nobody wants to risk not doing it.
I think humans are just bloodthirsty and violent.
This is also
But-
could be a parallel of just general religion today, Catholicism, Christianity. You think people are doing everything the exact same way they did 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 300 years ago?
I think they like to think that they are.
Things, have changed a lot in most religions over the last 300 years.
Not enough.
Not enough.
What did you guys think about Tessie, the woman that was murdered? Before she was chosen, she was like, well, this is just the way it is. Like, this is what we do. And then as soon as she was selected, or like her family was selected, she started like protesting and be like, wait, no, you didn't give them enough time to choose. Like,
She had it coming.
I wouldn't say that, but it's very human, right? Like we all do stuff like that. You know, people smoke, people eat McDonald's, or do all kinds of stuff that are bad for them, and you just think, oh, it won't be me, or I won't be the unlucky one to get in a car accident today, or whatever. And until you are, and then you're the one that's selected, and then you're like, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge like.
You don't
Something
care until
that-
it affects you.
Yeah.
Oh, it just reminds me of Florida alimony laws, right?
Oh, what?
Oh, the idea, like there's a bunch of Republican women who are pissed off at Santos for getting rid of
Yes.
unlimited alimony, and so now they're all going to vote Democrat. And it's like it's a perfect example of like, I'm really like fine with whatever he's doing until it affects me.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, Lexi, what did you like so much about this short story?
I love that how it is just so like it's set up. It's a beautiful sunny day. You have school children gathering. They're like playing and having fun. And this whole entire lottery where they're literally gonna stone someone to death. It's not just killing them. It's like one of the most gruesome ways like a person could die. And it's just so nonchalant. It's something they do every year, and it's so messed up. Like it's so picturesque. And yet, like, gruesome.
The juxtaposition.
Yes, the juxtaposition.
Especially between the kids, they're like gathering the stones and making piles, and it's like all nice and sweet at the beginning, and then they use those piles of stones to murder this woman.
That's the part that didn't quite make sense to me though. Like if they all know what was going to happen, the described atmosphere doesn't seem to match up. It's as if they were looking forward to it. And I don't think that's the norm. Like
Oh.
even if you like just magically created this village out in the world today, people wouldn't behave like that unless the expectation they had was like if they did that, they'll be blessed with, they look forward to something that is tangible, but their reactions didn't seem to make sense.
I think they
Man.
make perfect sense.
Sacrificing the virgin to the volcano.
I think humans are violent. I think that some people were definitely looking forward to this, and it is like their civic duty, right? Like it is part of their normal day, part of their normal year.
I mean, Leonard, think about it this way: how many people are really excited about the zombie apocalypse?
Probably a lot.
Because of what they get to do, and preppers who prep, they're looking or excited almost to being able to do these kind of things. Not necessarily aggressively, but there's something in there.
Right. There's something, a primal instinct, right?
I do kind of agree with Leonard because it's like two different things, right? You see humans in groups, mob mentality, and all that, and that's obviously very vicious. But a lot of that is people just caught up in the moment. This was less that. This was more people having a nice day, knowing one of them is gonna get picked, and not just like some stranger, but their neighbor. People that they know, people their kids go to school with, and it did seem a little off.
Yeah.
I think when violence is like used as a tool for like the social like order of society, I think a lot of people brandish that righteously. And
generally speaking, I'm going to jump on their side for a second here, though, because generally speaking, they're right. That's generally when it's not your kin. It's generally you have to create that us versus them mentality before it. Even with my zombie thought, idea, you still have to make an us versus them, and it's really hard to just justify randomly one of us as them. Imagine if one of us four pulled through straws, and then the rest of the three of us had to beat the other person to death.
Yeah.
Now, I would only enjoy
horrifying.
that if it was Daniel.
Yeah, same. If it was me.
So
yeah, but if you had to do it to protect your family or protect the community that is the discount bin,
yeah, it just wouldn't be a happy reunion. We wouldn't go
into
that
sorry.
beforehand and be like, yay, beautiful day we're having.
Yeah, so
pretty sure it would be a pretty gloomy day among the people.
Really, the kids were the only ones that were excited, right?
Well,
and they didn't know any better.
So there was definitely hints of unease throughout the story, which I think was a beautiful breadcrumb trail. But it was otherwise described as a really pleasant day, people gathering, talking, and they may not have been joyous, but everybody was buzzing and humming. Right?
Make the best of a bad situation.
It seemed like people were in a good mood, but a little nervous.
Nervous.
That they would be picked, basically.
Don't think anybody should be in a good mood in a setting like that.
That's just your philosophy.
This running bit's never gonna die.
Not.
Just any thought that Leonard has is his philosophy.
It is. Kinda. I mean, by definition.
So Leonard, you were saying that you don't know what this story means or what the story is trying to convey. Does Rick or Daniel have an opinion on what the story's purpose is?
I kind of already described with the open to interpretation side of it. There's a couple different ways that you can look at it, right? If you look at it from the religious and just tradition angle, from the perspective of from your POV, it's that it is basically okay, just because tradition's tradition, maybe we shouldn't just keep doing it because we think something bad might happen, kind of thing. We don't, or just because we've always done it. But I still also like the idea of beyond and the instilling of this world. What started this tradition? What's creating it? Is it because of I personally headcanon thinks it's resource limitations, especially when they're making lightly reference to crops and stuff like that. They just don't have enough resources to maintain all healthy humans, and this is historically a way to maintain that.
They also do mention how there's so many more people in the town now, and that's why they had to switch to pieces of paper instead of little discs of wood, because there were just too many people. So that would go along with that theory.
But
I
there's
think
also the
that goes
idea.
against that theory because they can support such population growth already.
Well, like I said, the original idea, not
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah.
why they're doing it now. This still follows a trail of tradition. They're still doing it because they've always done it.
Yeah, and it also sounds like it's not just this little town that does it, right? Like it's a regional thing. Maybe everybody in the world does it, but they were talking about other like huge cities that don't do it anymore.
Or other cities that still do it, and they take days to do it.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about how it's like, oh, here we're done in an afternoon, but some of them are like a couple days long, like, or it's a full event, and to figure out who to do it to.
Yeah, I think they said like 4 days.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't look at their pieces of paper as they picked them up. Like this whole thing would be shorter if you just found the person once they, picked the dot.
Traditions.
Ceremony.
Yeah.
Ceremony. Yeah, I guess.
You gotta. Yeah, it's just so interesting how they like pick and choose like what ceremonial details of this ritual that they keep doing.
Yeah.
I just find it so interesting the adherence to this tradition that they're not even like sure about, but they have forgotten all the details surrounding it. They don't know why. They mentioned all the different things, the different box, and they don't sing anymore. So I thought that was also reflective of today.
Yeah. And the future. Like, I don't know. This strikes me very much as like someone who's 30 years old railing against tradition, and I think that's as tale as old as time. Like as society progresses, the next generation is going to say our traditions are stupid, and their kids are going to say theirs are stupid. Like people do stupid traditions.
No one ever does. Everything.
We're the perfect generation.
Yeah.
We figured it out.
I think it's well, this is not related to that, but that comment you just made, it's kind of interesting how I feel like there's been a truncation in generational differences, like immediately after like 2004, the internet, basically once the internet started making everyone have access to the same media, same communities, same jokes, same everything, like the difference between, granted, mentally a different state. There's a difference between like a 22-year-old, a 32-year-old, a 42-year-old, but they're all ingesting the exact same media at this point. They're all ingesting the exact same kind of thing. So like some of these traditions might start taking longer to die out as you start seeing this like truncation and differences.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or you're just losing touch with the youth, and they're actually ingesting a whole bunch of different stuff like Snapchat and TikToks that.
Which is what I'm on all the time too. Yeah, I know. But I'm like talking to my brothers. I'm hearing the same memes from my brothers who are 16 and 18 that I hear from people I play like other video games and stuff, and people like that I'm friends with from Des Moines and stuff. They're all making the same jokes. They're all doing the same slang, and that's 16 to 40, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You might be right. As someone who's pretty out of touch in what kids are doing nowadays, I just don't know.
Daniel, you're still a kid.
I'm a kid at heart.
Very like descriptive and detailed about the day, and really like the setting. Like talking about Halloween parties and like clubs. Like I feel like this could easily have happened in 2010 as 1950, in which is written, which I think is a hallmark of good writing. The names like Bobby Martin though, like do tell on it. I have a question. I have a philosophy question. So, do you guys think that them killing Tessie is ethically right? Do you think it's right or wrong?
By their standards or by ours?
Yeah, that's that.
It's definitely
No, that's
wrong.
not the question.
I think it's wrong by both standards.
Yeah, you think it's wrong in this current. So, are they all complicit? Like, are they all murderers?
And
Even
what defines
Tessie?
ethics?
Okay. So ethics is a little bit different than morality, and I'm just gonna Google ethics definition because I'm gonna fuck it up. My Google auto-corrected it to ethnic. Okay, so branch of philosophy that seeks to understand the nature, purpose, justification, and founding principles of moral rules and system that they comprise.
I really wish you had read the definition for ethnic just to see like who's paying attention.
Yeah.
It would have been a real office moment.
Wait, do you think I'm like Michael Scott?
No, that would have been a real Michael
Aw.
Scott moment if you had done
Aw.
it. It would have been hilarious.
Okay, so basically, in their system that they have established, I do think it is ethically okay for them to kill.
I would say it's morally okay for them to kill too, because it's just the person's standards of beliefs, behavior, and that's definitely within realm of that.
Yeah, I think. So why do you think it's okay? Like, why is it right? Just because that's the system that they've made for themselves?
It's right in their perspective. It's right in not in our perspective. Again, it's if you're asking me, do I think it's morally right? No. Do I think they think it's morally right? Yes.
It's like a established tradition that is accepted by all of them, right? Like if the entire community agrees with it being necessary, then by their standards, it's ethically correct to do it. Right?
Even if only 51% of them think that, then it's ethically correct.
That's sure. Sure.
Yeah, So all of them have to, only over half of them have to agree to this system for it to be ethically correct, morally okay.
I'd say majority, yeah. I mean, if, like not in their context. Again, you can't just say like the general. Is it ethically okay? Because now you're asking me. Is it ethically okay for them in their perspective?
Well,
yes.
I just want to ask a little bit more about your 51%. Like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just the majority. Because like if you use that context with abortion today, for example, you got. I'm not going to say 50-50, but like let's say it's 50-50 shot of like whether it's ethically or morally okay or not, right? Now, it just really depends on who you ask. It comes down to the individual, but if you're talking about a society, you've got to make a decision based on what the majority is going to be making that decision for, if you're going to call it that. Now, just because it's morally or ethically correct for them doesn't necessarily mean it's right forever, or it's even like the right thing to do, period, in my perspective. From my today knowledge, I would say that. Right.
Another random thought that I just had that's only kind of related. I do appreciate that the system makes everybody equal. Like even the guy who's like in charge of the ceremony, his name was in the box too.
It wasn't equal though. It was only husbands and the first sons if they were available, and then women got in there. Women were not equal in this society.
So it was once they got
one for every family.
For the family, and then they would go from there to choose the family, which member in the family.
I took it specifically as that person did it, but okay.
No, yeah. The way I understood it is that they're drawing for each family unit, and then once you go to the family unit, you draw again for everybody, and then whoever gets the black spot dies. Even the kids aren't off limits.
So it really favors people with larger families.
Well, or not.
Benefits, yeah.
Benefits.
A favor, yeah.
Because if you only have 2 people in your family and you pick the black dot, 50-50 fucked.
Holy
So
shit,
in that case,
that's crazy incentive to have as many kids as possible, right?
Which is completely opposite of the mentality of what I was trying to say earlier as far as resources, because now you're like, all right, we need to populate. Actually, you're right. This is New England. I wonder when this is supposed to take place, because it sounds like it's supposed to be early like civilization. So
they're
like,
having
what if this
Halloween
is just
parties? So.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
This could literally be like last year.
Anytime.
Have the same context.
I was just saying, like, if this was like, oh, we're going to outpopulate the natives, this is how we do it. We incentivize having a shit ton of kids. Those kids have got to go somewhere eventually. Let's take over the West with our weird sex murder cult.
I would read a book about that.
Time to turn this into a book writing club.
Ooh.
Fan fiction, here we come.
So so do you think that The Purge is literally just based off the short story?
I don't know. Because like
I haven't seen it, but isn't that just like people you can just murder whoever you want for fun?
One night, no laws.
Not exactly.
And for like a perfect society, right?
This they had specific rules to it. Like you cannot target healthcare workers. You cannot target government officials of certain classes or higher. It's very specific to.
convenient.
Okay, but
Yeah.
for generalizing one night no
Yeah.
rules, and basically a night to purge your bad feelings or whatever. And this, if everyone's going over there to murder one person, this is just like a mini purge. Like everyone's like, today you get to commit murder.
It's a little different though, because wasn't the purge to like promote good behavior the rest of the year so you don't piss off the wrong person?
It's to get rid of the purging the bad. I mean, I think you're just saying the same thing I said in a different way. The other side of
But
it.
yeah, this one's like just random. Like they didn't just vote on who's the asshole of the town, you know, and kill them.
Right. Right.
Well, part of the plan was to cut down the number of people in the poverty line, because those people tend to be targeted first. They can afford less protection. That was-
Jesus.
Did you not watch the movie The Purge?
No, I haven't seen
Yeah.
this.
haven't
The whole
either.
premise is that the US has declared like one day of the year to be the day where you can kill anyone you want. There's some limitations to it, but
Right.
the goal was to reduce people at the poverty line, to solve famine problems. The world's overpopulated. It also allows relief. It's quite messed up.
I guess I just wasn't expecting The Purge to have some actual social commentary on social classes in the United States.
Well, that's literally the movie, like the first one. I mean, it is just a gore fest, but at the same time, it's like that was the purpose. Was it supposed to be an edgy, damn the man, like classist warfare kind of thing?
I did think it was well done though. Like the way the settings, like all the little details, like they had they
Sock
sell
puppet?
plans. They
puppet?
sell you some sort of insurance where you can fortify your house, and you need a certain income level to be able to afford that kind of protection. You know, and I like the little details they went into building this world where this is real.
You know what disappointed that I haven't watched them all. Did they ever get to the point of like how this really like injects work into the working class afterwards too, for all the fucking cleanup after this fiasco? Like someone's got to go clean up all this shit. Someone's got to clean up the corpses. Someone's got to go fix the houses. Someone's got to like repair the roads. Like this is like.
Yeah.
Next podcast, we're doing a purge review.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Should we watch it and do it?
We've gone
sure.
off the rails here.
Not really. I think no, because I do think that this story could be mildly related to that too. Like I do think it's related.
Yeah, a
Okay.
lot of questionable things in that show.
Yeah.
I recommend only the first one, not the rest of them.
I live for questionable things.
Who was your favorite character? Daniel.
The kid who wanted to stack more rocks, and then his dad yelled at him, and then he came back.
I can see that. Did you
Yeah.
relate to him?
Yeah, was that Martin? No, Martin's the older son. I don't remember what his name was. Some little shit, you know?
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's about it, though.
That's all I got for this on the shorter side.
Short story, short podcast.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us as we discussed the lottery. We had a fun time, and we hoped you also enjoyed listening to our random thoughts. We will catch you next week on the Discount Bin.
Boo.
And I'm Rick. Never said our names.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.